All right, then. Glad to have you join us again. It's still Business Breakfast on iBrand Television. Now, let's get talking now. Our interview segment on the program. A recent visit to the departure hall of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, was a beehive of activities with thousands of Nigerians leaving the country. From findings, majority of them were going with a one-way ticket, which means that they have no intention of coming back soon. If at all, they would return. This is the reality of the moment, as the Japa syndrome that has hit the country's fabric has continued unabated, with thousands of Nigerians leaving the country on a daily basis in search of what is usually known as the greener pastures in Europe, America, and other countries where they believe there are opportunities. Just as many Nigerians are leaving the country in their large numbers, some foreigners are not seeing an entirely hopeless situation in Nigeria, as many of them also troop to the country on a daily basis for businesses. To make more sense of this development, I'm now being joined live in our Lagos studio by certified live behavioral change and productivity coach Victor Oyekere, who is popularly known as the Strategist. Victor, good morning. It's a pleasure for you joining me on the program.
Thank you, Bless. It's great to be here.
Well, I hope I did not muffle the name.
No, Oyekere is fine.
All right, then, it's good. So let's get talking now. First of all, I need to get your reaction to this Japa wave in Nigeria. It has been on for a period of 5 years or more, if I can recall. But then again, it's not abating. What's your reaction to this move, this upsurge of Nigerians leaving the country in their large number?
Thank you so much. That's a very interesting question, looking at the dynamics of, the country. And I will just piggyback to the 80s. Of course, I wasn't born then, and I heard Japa syndrome, as it were, is not a new phenomenon, right? It's something that have been witnessed, decades before our forefathers has Japa, the people before our forefathers Japa, and were Japaing, and that's what we're doing now. And when you think about it, right, relocation is going to be, a constant phenomenon, right? But I think it's important to underscore why are we relocating, all right? When you look at the idea with relocation is that people subconsciously believe that I want to create a better life for myself. It's like a ticket to better living. Permit me to button, what's it called now? Davido and Kizdane said, one-way ticket. Yes, go ahead. Yeah, it's greener pastures. People, I think it's Adekunle that sang about, the grass is, not really green
on the other side. Yes,
that's what he thought until, so what people just believe that the grass is not green here, it's greener there. And when you think about it, subconsciously they are right, because everybody works with their own perspective. So they believe that I want to get I have better options, better alternatives. I want to secure the future for my kids, my family, so I'd rather move. So I think we should not focus so much around relocation. It is going to be a constant expression. We focus on the why of relocation, why they're relocating, and digging back to the state of the country. I don't think it's in the state it is supposed to be. Nigeria can be in a better state, and when you look at the deplorable state of the country, which it feels like it keeps getting worse, and worse and worse. Hopefully we're believing that it will get better, but right now it is just what it is, and that's what has triggered that behavior of relocation.
Fine, quite all right, I can understand that, but despite all of these issues, insecurity, bad economy as it is right now, standard of living here, and so many other factors, fundamentals that have been affecting this country, or should I say bedeviling the growth and development of this country. Ironically, we're still having people coming all the way from China, America, Indians are trooping in here, Malaysians are also trooping in here, Lebanese are also trooping in here. So the big question now is, what are these guys saying that our own citizens are not saying that's making them leave? But truly, if the grass is not greener here, why are these guys coming in? Your thoughts?
In fact, I think it's super important for anyone watching right now, anywhere in the world. This is the moment. And why I say this is, I said earlier that perception is reality. Right? The perception of anybody is their reality. Now, the grass is greener on the side you perceive it is.
Okay.
Right? So green grass is a perception. So where you see brown grass, somebody can be seeing green grass. Right? So some of the big tech companies I've worked with, right, are not owned by Nigerians. They are owned by Ukrainians, and they operate in Nigeria. Owned by Lebanese, owned by Indians.
And they are doing well.
And they are doing, we're talking about millions, hundreds of millions in monthly revenue.
Wow, that's huge.
That's what we're talking about. And when you look at that, you just see that. So why are people leaving, and what do these guys see and coming to invest? And I'll say this, as someone who has advised over 100 startups, right, supported 30 to go from idea to launch, I can say this, that success or opportunities clusters more around where you have problems. So
I want you to take that again. Success
and opportunities clusters more around where you have problems.
Great.
Right? When you go to developed nations, what do you want to go and solve them? If you move to the UK, what problem do you want to solve? Now, when you look at when people relocate, you barely hear of them. They've just gone to one small town and just, I have 24 hours light. And really, is that what it's about? So they move to one small town, then they have a car, they are living well, they are earning their pounds. But when you look at outliers, right, outliers look out for where problem. Africa is the problem capital of the world. Africa is the problem capital of the world.
I like that. This conversation is given.
So when you,
okay, go ahead.
The problem capital, and money gravitates where there is problem.
Very true.
Right?
Very
money
true.
Follows the problem. So problem, value, money. That's the pathway. Problem, value, money. So money and value does not go to where there is no problem. So you must love problems. And so there are a lot of problems in Nigeria, which now posits a lot of opportunities.
Wow.
You see, industries are doing billions of naira in revenue.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of problems.
And they are not owned by Nigerians. So sad.
So it feels like we are letting other people, right, partake of what we should
be benefiting from.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So, but again, is also perception. The one who believes that, I cannot solve all these problems, or I want to leave, is right. Henry Ford said, the one who thinks he can is correct. The one who thinks he cannot is also correct. Perception. So if you think you can, you're correct. You think you can't, you're also correct. All right. So again, it's that greener grass is a perception. And whilst we have people who are not Nigerians, owning some of the big corporations in Nigeria, they believe that there's a problem here. And it's an opportunity to create massive value.
Great. I love that. I'm really, really, really loving this conversation. But then again, I want us to talk about this. There are some Nigerians who also have jackpot.
True.
And some of them have made waves over there, wherever country they find themselves. And some are also struggling to make a living for themselves. Now, let's bring it home now. If they were to be in Nigeria, for some of them though, who are already doing something great for whatever country they find themselves, do you think that such people would actually be pulling such milestone in terms of career, business, or what have you?
It's a very tricky question. It puts me in a very difficult position. So, there is two pathways to building a career. You can build your career as what you call typical entrepreneur, which is you build a business. You find problem, you look at it creatively, you create value, you sell the value, and you get money. All right, that's creating businesses. And you can build your career by finding an existing organization already creating value. You join them, you offer your skills, your expertise, your experience in exchange for money. So we call those guys 9 to 5 people. All right, and when you look at the dynamics of Nigeria, it favors more people who are entrepreneurs. in that. Now, get what I'm saying? The environment is not where it should be, but I'm saying that because there's problem to be solved. So more entrepreneurs, and when you look at fintech, you look at logistics, you look at lots of sectors are broken, and tech, right, can solve some of these problems if you think about it rightly. But however, people that have relocated and are doing better in their career, when you look at the stats, most of the time, there are people who go to work, you know, in other corporations. You know, there's time, there's value for work. Your work is celebrated, your work is rewarded. Let's look at medical doctors. Do you think all that stress is worth it? I was talking to a friend of mine, shout out to Nyoluwa, she's a doctor, right? And she was like, Victor, I don't even know, but when you just look at the distribution of things, also I was talking to Juanita, who also moved, you know, some years back, said, like, it's not worth it. I do 7 years, and what's the pay, right? What's even the value of a doctor? And now this begins back to, may her soul rest in peace, the lady that lost her life
in the elevator.
So look at, these are the issues. Why would somebody go through that 7 years of work and then only to lose their life in an elevator? Something that someone was responsible for. So whilst we say things like, oh no, the grass can be greener here, let's balance the conversation, right? Things like NSARS happened, you know, police brutality, right? I just want to solve I just want to work. Can I be alive and work? That's all I ask from Nigeria. But Nigeria cannot even keep me alive to work. I'd rather go to where I will be alive. Nobody would throw me anything on the streets. And guess what? Right? I can put in 2 years of focused work, and when I look back, I can see something for it. Time value for money. I think also piggybacks back to how do we, what's the value of the human life here in Nigeria? Some professions are
that's a big question that the government needs to provide answer for. But let's talk about the ripple effect of this Japa syndrome now, the brain drain in the workplace now. What ripple effect would you say this is having on them, the workplace?
It's a very great question. Thank you for that. I think that, you know, if we're not careful, we're going to, because, you know, Nigeria is primarily consumption driven.
Very true.
We're not production driven.
Yes, very true. Yeah.
You know, we're not, I mean, we've got some really ingenious guys, but that's not our default state. We're consumption driven. And what happens is we create this talent and then they move to better enabling systems. Guess what? Is going to put a strain on the workplace. I belong to a HR group, and every now and then, you know, people are always just whining about the fact that you can't even find talent. The ones that you have can't even do work.
It's that bad.
The ones that you have, you know, the ones that are available are not desirable. Right? The ones that are desirable will not be here and not available. You see now, so they've left.
It's a serious situation.
We have a ticking time bomb on our hands if we're not careful. And what will fix it is not churning out new talent. And that's why when I talk to people who are, you know, who run talents platforms, we're going to start training people to get into tech and get into different careers. I love that, but only that when you train them, another continent takes them, because they become desirable only that the environment is not able to reward their desirability. They go to an environment that appreciates them, and then they move. So we then come back to the available and not desirable. The desirable and not available.
Now, I still want us to talk about this issue about training of staff, talent management, capacity building, and all of that. I think it was yesterday I saw in the news that the vice president actually hosted the likes of Tony Lumelu, Dangote, the country director of World Bank in Nigeria, and the focal point was to drive human capacity development in the country. Now, what should be the primary focus or the critical focus for government to ensure that the issue of brain drain is being managed. We can't stop people from leaving. I know there was a particular time one of the lawmakers actually came out with this particular bill that restricts medical doctors of leaving the country after 5 years of service and all of that. Now, what should be the critical focus? What kind of laws, what kind of programs, what kind of measures, strategies should the government be focusing on to ensure that we keep our best talent in country?
Thank you, Blessed, for that great question. Once again, you know, I like to have balanced conversations. Oftentimes, when you talk to an average Nigerian, the depth of thinking is laughable. It's deplorable. All right, we don't have quality in depth of thinking. So we are too quick to do the blame game. So I'm not here to do the government blame game.
All right, great.
Let's also give kudos. When I saw that policy, you know, I was just discussing that with a few of my friends. And when I looked at it, when you think about it, right, it's not so much of a bad policy. Only that the way it was communicated may have been wrong. But just let's look at it rationally and inductively. What is the cost of training a medical doctor in the abroad? What's even the cost of doing any regular course in the abroad? Do you know the thousands and millions of dollars that the Nigerian market remit to the UK every single year?
Wow.
Right, so the cost of education is really, really affordable in Nigeria. Really affordable, right? When you look at a medical doctor, you know, in the UK and the medical doctor, you know, in Nigeria, measure the cost, you will see that the gap is so wild. And guess what? When we go over there, we're the best. We're so good
at deplorable state of education.
Yeah, so that's a silver lining. Because they drill us so much, we get and say, so you guys are, this is working. I'm shocked. I'm shocked that this is working. This thing we create ourselves. You guys are enjoying it. Oh, wow. So, and that's why, a friend of mine, you know, so they gave him something to do in the UK. Let me just digress a bit. And then that stuff in Nigeria, he's going to get it done in 3 days. Guess what? They told him that, oh, we're giving you 6 weeks. to get the tax done for 3 days. So he didn't know man. He was like, what is 6 weeks? I think doing this in 48 hours. A month. So what he was doing was that he was now submitting updates every week. Wow. This is what I've done. And then he uses the remaining 4 days of the week to just focus on something else. Wow. Because he can get one thing done in like 2 hours in a day. Nigeria drilled him to that level. So that's a silver lining. Now, it's balanced. Now let's come to what can the government do.
Yes.
I think it's really about putting the right systems. We don't have a resource problem, right? You know, there is no unresourcewful person. There is only unresourceful state. All right, there is no unresourceful person.
I need to listen to this interview again because I wish as we're talking, giving you this point, I should be telling them that. So Nigeria,
thank you so much. Nigeria is not unresourceful. Nigeria is in an unresourceful state. So we need to change the state. We need to move where we are from this particular state, right? You can change your behavior, change your emotions, and it begins with our thought pattern.
Yes, very true.
We think. We need to start changing the quality of thinking because this quality of thinking affects the policies. That is, people think that policy just emanates. It comes from the quality of thoughts.
Very true.
Now, we saw a video on Twitter where somebody was pouring, literally, local rice into foreign bags to sell. And then people went outgoing. And I said, these people like this will end up in the government. What kind of policy would someone like this make? So we assume that the government, and this is something that is very profound. We assume the government is some mysterious group of people that we don't see them. They are not human beings. They are robots. They are human beings. Right? Like, I mean, they are human beings like us, and they came from a certain family, they came from a certain society, community, right? So I think that we will start by redefining our values in Nigeria, start putting the right systems, right, the right process, create all we need. Nigerians have this very strong spirit, this hustle spirit.
Yes.
So what we need to be able to scale that hustle, right, is an enabling environment. Once we have it, right, every Nigerian, and without mincing words, every Nigerian has the potential to compete with anybody in this world.
I like that. Now, there's this should I say, belief, a perception, a projection by some analysts that the issue of mass immigration of highly skilled workers could lead to increased wage levels for those left behind. I'll trace this. That, take for example, now we've seen a situation that played out in the banking sector. I think it was sometime last year, if not early this year, where we experienced a mass exodus of some tech guys in a particular banking unit leaving the country, and you find out that there were some issues and some glitches and all of that. So some people have the view that if you have people leave a particular sector, a particular industry, or a particular workforce, and then you're having more Nigerians coming in there to play there, shows that we're going to create more jobs. Okay, that's one. And then secondly, these people will have to earn more. But then again, I am asking myself, how can this be possible if these people don't have the requisite and the actual and the accurate skills and the right manpower or the right knowledge to fit in to this kind of job? Do you actually believe in this, should I say, statement, a sentiment, or whatever it is?
What I would say to that, in fact, the mass exodus of, engineers, right, software engineers, developers, in fact, a full technology team leaving the country, and what that has created is that, in fact, there was even a certain time somebody opened, I'm not going to mention the bank, right, opened a certain bank app. Guess what they're doing? Codes, right, like literally raw codes. And people were wondering, what is this? Has he got into
this bad?
A bank sent an email for like maybe a happy whatever, and guess what? It was showing codes, right? Has gotten that bad, and the wrong people are managing, these tech teams. But blessed, I think that it piggies back to the original problem, and the original problem is the fact that there are no enabling environment. So now, when you think, let's say for instance, I'm a family man, right? I'm not making these decisions just for me. Maybe I'm even earning well in top-tier bank in Nigeria. But when I look at, this money I'm earning, do I have the right environment to even spend this money, to even utilize this money? Something came out, and since we mentioned the government, it's good to mention it out, right? We looked at the Lagos State, I think the budget, whatever that came out. Why are we spending money
so much money on frivolities?
On frivolities are not important. Now, that's where my tax is going to. And now you think I'll be excited paying tax. Now, you see that these are some of the, when you think about this, and then I make a decision that favors, right, my family on the long run, guess who's going to be the fallout? Customers of some of these banks. So what we're dealing with, we think it's not a tech team are living, in exodus. It's really about why are they making those decisions? They're trying to protect their family, they're trying to secure the future of their kids and things like that.
But some of these organizations, permit me to brought in, some of these organizations are actually doing in terms of incentives that they are giving to the employers, and then just to ensure that they are quite comfortable. Okay, we understand that the system is already bad and battered, but from our own part, we do the best that we can to ensure that you guys are comfortable working with us. Is that not enough reason to stay? Tricky person, I guess, right?
This boys to is environment, right? Environment programs behavior at a certain level. When I look at my environment, lots of people were traumatized during, 2020.
The NSAS.
Right, lots of people were, at a flash, you could just lose somebody. I see piggyback to what I said earlier on. What is the value of a Nigerian life? Right. The value of a mad person in the UK is worth more than the value of the brightest person in Nigeria. What's the value? We announce, when we look at death tolls, you just announce it as figures, statistics. These are people from families that died. So those decisions that you think it looks like a professional decision, I want to move to, most times it's not about going to a better place. Do you know that some people take a pay cut to move to the UK? They are earning maybe 8 figures in Nigeria, and they go to the UK. When you do the realities and you remove tax and everything, they are earning less in the UK. But I'd rather earn less and be safe.
So in other words, the goal is not to make any impact of some sort. The goal is just to get a good life.
It's a good life
for yourself and then for your children.
80%.
But Victor, I'm going to put you on the spot now. I'm going to make this seat you're sitting on hotter now. Do we see Victor Japa in anytime soon? Victor, truly
In Nigeria.
a patriotic Nigerian that believes so much in Nigeria despite all that we're seeing going on in the country, both from the political angle and also from the socio-economic angle.
I'm patriotic to money.
But, so anywhere the money calls, you jump out to.
Really, people have asked me this. I'm a global citizen.
Okay.
Right. I'm not going to relocate to a country and get forgotten. I'm an outlier. Right. I'm a global citizen. And for real, I'm a global citizen, which is my idea will transcend continents. What we're doing is big, and it's not for everybody. Right. Relocation, because I have to be very careful saying this. Relocation at a certain depth, right, puts everybody in the same bucket. We're all just in the same, in that sense, crisis, right? Both the person that relocated and the person who hasn't relocated are in the same crisis. Only that the person who has relocated is in the higher end of the crisis. When you talk about, Abraham Maslow, it's like the higher pyramid than the person who is here, lower pyramid, right? So what we are doing is bigger than relocation, right? It's global stuff. It is that we are going into every country, right? Creating businesses. We are changing the landscape, right? So it's not about, and why I say this is, not everybody is built for this kind of life, right? It's about, going to every continent and then making impact. So do I see myself relocating? I don't think so.
Okay.
Do I see myself moving across borders? It's borderless, right? Relocation is containing yourself in a geographical location, right? You're limited. This is borderless thinking. We're going global. We're going to every city. So if the work calls me to Dubai, I have to live there for 3 months. I go and live there. If I have to move to Bulgaria, I have to go to UK. I have to be in London. I have to be in Dallas. So it's really about taking the idea and getting it into every part of the world. So
Victor, are you a proud Nigerian? Are you proud to be a Nigerian? Are you proud to be called a Nigerian?
100%.
What 100%?
I'm very proud to be a Nigerian. In fact, if I was going to come back, I'll choose being a Nigerian.
Are you serious?
Yes. I'll be a Nigerian all over again.
All right, we'll leave it at that.
I'm not sure of my kids. I can't speak for them.
Definitely. But we'll leave it at that. It has been an interesting conversation. I'd like to say a big thank you for your time here on the show. Definitely, we're going to have you again on the show. And then look at some other broad conversation, because you've proven to me that beyond just this Japa, there's so much to talk about. There's so much our viewers need to know about Nigeria and how to build themselves to become global citizens. I'd like to say a big thank you to you, Victor. Let me see if I can get the word again now. Right and correct now. In fact, I've been speaking with Victor Onyekere, who is popularly known as the strategist. He is a certified life, behavioral change, and productive coach. Victor, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I will hope to do this again.
Thank you so much.